Action, start. What the Somerville reading method has done for me and has done for others is it changes the way that we format text. I basically shaped the words so my brain could process them. So a lot of times you have non-dyslexics solving for dyslexia. I believe that that insight that I have makes this program just so very special because it comes from the heart of a dyslexic, me, a dyslexic. Dyslexia for me is the inability to read and comprehend linear text or numbers. It becomes like one big picture of like a bunch of black and white symbols. I grew up in McLean, Virginia. I'm the second oldest in the group of 4 girls. I was different than my sisters because I struggled so dearly and desperately in school. I didn't understand why I didn't do very well. I would look at words and I would just try to memorize the amount of the letters in the words. Like I didn't read it phonetically, I just would look at the word and say, okay, like cannon, okay, so I think there, you know, there's a C, an O, and an N. It could be like C-O-N-A-N or C-O-N-O-O-N. I just knew that there was a C, an A, and an N. I didn't know what ways they got organized, so I just kind of like wrote down any letters that I could think of. And so then the problem was that they would test me on the comprehension, but how can you comprehend if two of the main words in the sentence, you have no idea what they are, so there's no way that you could even understand anything about the paragraph, which is why I got such bad grades. You don't read out loud. It is the most humiliating, shameful experience that you could have as a dyslexic because you can't read phonetically. I was drawn to art. I drew. I liked building things. I can see volume and color, and I can see how shapes relate to each other. I don't really think of things in lines. I think of things in circles. I'm a problem solver. As an interior designer, as a mother, as a businesswoman, navigating my whole cachet of clients, I'm constantly solving problems. Maybe like 3rd or 4th grade, I'm guessing. I'm at Churchill Road. I was starting to be really quiet. Like my basic personality was really cheerful, and then I was struggling with the assignments at school. I started like losing my self-esteem because I just kept failing everything. I mean, I just could not get what they were trying to teach me. I guess I thought that I was stupid at some level. I knew I wasn't. In the school, it seemed like I was like a different person. I couldn't fix it. Like I tried very hard to fix what was wrong with me on my own, and I just could never fix it. 5th or 6th grade, I started getting separated from my peers. Like I noticed that there was like a smart class. I was kind of like in the slower classrooms. I could never get my homework done. I mean, I would attempt it, and then it would always be wrong. I remember this like junior high, mostly, and high school, where you go to your locker and you have a backpack, and I would put all my books in my backpack like every day. I'd like drag home like 7 books. And I would be like, today's the day I'm gonna get all my homework done, you know, and I'm gonna figure out it all. I'm gonna figure it out. I would go home and I would barely crack a book. I would barely open the book. I couldn't, because it was just like complete and utter overwhelm. I remember talking to my mom in the kitchen, and I had, you know, gotten like another D in math or something. And I just was like, I'm gonna fail this class. Like, I'm gonna get a D or a D minus, and there's nothing I can do about it. Like, I can't do this. My sisters would come home with good grades. I literally couldn't do it. And I had to just basically ask my mom, I guess to forgive me for not being able to do it. I didn't know how to do it. It was frustrating. And she wasn't sure exactly what to do, so she would try to hire tutors and stuff like that, and all it was is it just made things go slower. They just made accommodations. They didn't really teach me how to learn. They just basically tried to keep feeding me whatever they were trying to teach me, but they didn't teach me differently. At the end of my junior year at Langley, I just told my mom I just couldn't go back there. I couldn't face it again in my senior year. And the stress of it was just, it was making me crazy. I was like cutting class all the time because I wasn't prepared for the class when I went. I was like one of 7 people in a classroom. They taught me verbally, but it was a conversation. They changed the rules to the game. They took the time at this school to actually talk to me. Oh my God, like all of a sudden I'm not stupid, like overnight. And I literally went from DFs to A's and B's. It was like taking the black cloud out of my life. They just took away the problem. And they just taught me differently. So I just never got accolades. I never was successful in the other school. Of course, then I just went on to get an associate's in fine arts and interior design, which was another kind of like accolade thing. I realized that I would be more successful if I owned my own business simply because nobody could fire me for all my mistakes. My strategy was to just make enough money so I could hire people to do the things that I couldn't do. Manage the money, read the emails, reply to the emails. I had to trust that they would do the next right thing for the business. I moved the design studio to Bethesda, and I started intuitively thinking that something was very wrong, and I hired an outside firm to check the books. That was like a huge pivot point. I was desperate to find another way to manage my business. But I kept saying over and over again, I need to figure out a way to process information. I'm like the designer that has literally a stack of like 100 pieces of clear printer paper in a pen or a Sharpie, and I draw my solutions. One day I had to figure out a way to look at all my clients, to see all of them at one time and to see what they needed from us. And I just drew this diagram. All of a sudden, I could like see, it was like, I could literally like read it, see it, and not be overwhelmed. I was obsessed with drawing these diagrams that were proving that my mind could process information if I put this in this diagram. I felt like the dude on Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where he's making the mountain inside of the living room, where he's just obsessed with this mountain. And that's how I was. I was obsessed with drawing these diagrams. I was visiting my daughter in New York City, and when I got there, I just like took all of my drawings and I just pasted them all over her wall. And I was like, I figured it out. I figured it out. My kids had watched me struggle for like their whole life. They're like, you know, they'd been my human dictionaries. That was a very exciting time for me because I knew it from the moment that I saw it. It's instant. It's like literally like putting glasses on. It lifts the fog. My tagline is reshaping the art of reading. It helps people from the ages of 4 to 100. You can spell, you can read phonetically. I mean, it's changed my handwriting. It's changed how I pronounce words. It's an accessibility tool. It's an equality tool. I have this incredible group of special ed teachers who have endorsed this. The teachers today who are helping students with dyslexia have tools. The tool that the Somerville Reading Method offers can completely be integrated into their programs. It doesn't take away, it only adds. So we're not in competition with others, we're only here to add another level of ease of reading for the children. The people I worry about the most are the students who are trapped. They're not getting intervention in how they read. They go to war almost every day when they go into school. Get them out of the linear world so they can become more of who they are. This software will literally change their life overnight. And when I say overnight, I mean overnight. They say that if you're dyslexic, that your IQ is unaffected. I believe that they are 100% right, because I was smart then and I'm smart now. I believe in this with my whole heart. I think that this is why I was put in this planet. Besides giving birth to my children, I believe that this is my primary focus and my primary responsibility. It would have made my childhood so much easier. But now that I've been able to teach myself how to process information using my method, I'm just as cool as you are. So, rock on.